Welcome back to Laughing in the Dark, the podcast where I hang out in haunted places with comedians. I'm your host, Sara Jones. For this episode, I hung out with the very funny Lydia Manning. Lydia is the host of Naked Brunch PDX, Portland's only all-riffing mic. Lydia and I checked out the site of what was once an insane asylum with a pretty sordid past. Quick note about this episode, we visited the site of what was once an insane asylum. The name of the hospital was spelled Dammasch, so I pronounced it Dammasch. I was telling somebody else about doing this episode, and he said, well, where did you go? I said, well, we went to the site of what used to be the Dammasch State Hospital. And he said, what? And I said, yeah, it used to be an insane asylum. And he goes, no, do you mean Dammasch? And I was like, shit. So fortunately, I only mispronounced the name throughout the entire episode. If you're interested, check out the Instagram at LitDarkPodcast for pictures of the site. Hope you enjoy the show. Okay. Shall we?
Yeah.
Okay. I can hold this. I'm taller than us. That doesn't happen to me much.
You said I'm taller than us.
I'm taller than the both of us. I'm the tallest person I've ever met. Okay. Well, first of all, let's check this place out. Are you scared?
Terrified.
So, this was the site of an insane asylum known as Dammasch State Hospital. And a lot of fucked up stuff happened here. So because of that, it's haunted. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Good. This is really scary, actually. This is way scarier than I expected it to be. So
I know, there's a lot of construction. I could step on a nail.
You could
at any moment. And I'm wearing like 10-year-old Chuck Taylors, so
but then
it's
when
gonna
you
penetrate.
look again, that nail was never there.
Thank God. That means I didn't get stabbed.
Oh, you got stabbed, but it's by a ghost nail.
Damn.
That's how this works.
Is there a shot for that? We're recording right now, yeah?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, cool.
Usually what I do is I like to walk around, kind of get a feel for the place, and then we'll find a good spot to sit and I'll tell you some terrible, terrible tales.
All right.
It smells very new. There's a lot of construction and it's exciting.
Yeah, it does.
That
I'm not
person
smelling
is watching
any
us.
ghosts yet.
Do you see that person on the porch?
No, I don't. I guess I just don't have the sixth sense.
Oh, that could be.
All right, I'm getting a little bit less scared.
Mm-hmm. It's because we're in the
nice part of town.
This is where everything's more developed. But right where we parked, right around here, that's where the actual coordinates were for where the hospital was. So all of this has been paved over. So this whole place was the state hospital. So it was a big spot. Let's actually go to the construction area because people live here and they're probably like, what the fuck are they doing here?
We're just stalking an ex. Don't worry about it. He didn't text me, and I need to.
Me back? Don't you miss me? We just need to make sure he's not seeing that one bitch.
We're just girls, and it's adorable when we do crazy things.
Yeah. Do you want to sit underneath one of those, like in there?
Yes.
It looks really scary.
Oh, we're going into
phone.
some construction.
We're in some construction. Yeah, let's describe what we're seeing because I'm really bad at doing that.
All right, it kind of looks like a diorama that hasn't been finished yet.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, let's make sure nobody's like sleeping in here.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
No living people.
I thought that might have been someone sleeping too.
Oh my God, that's totally what
I was like, oh, bro, like I'm not making fun of you for
I know, me
napping
neither.
in
I
here.
totally was. I heard in your tone of voice too that you were just like, it's fine if you are. We're here to respect you.
No, I get it. Like if you're napping, if you're asleep for the night, like
we're not here to disrespect the living.
Judging. I know you're gonna finish your diorama.
I believe in you. That looks like a more comfortable place to sit.
Okay, yeah. So we're leaving our very comfortable plywood seat and moving to some already constructed stairs.
Oh, they're wet. Just kidding.
Wet stairs.
We're gonna go back to the comfortable plywood or the floor. What do you think? It's up to you.
Oh, I was cool on the plywood.
Let's go back. This is considerably creepier than I expected it to be, so this is all going.
Yeah, same.
So we are at the site, what is now the Villebois Housing Center. They're building new houses, clearly, because we are in a constructed house. I'd say it's about, what do you think, about 50% done?
Yeah, I would give this kid a 50 if he turned it in like this.
It's not ready yet.
Like, what's been done has been done well.
Yeah, the framing looks beautiful.
Very sturdy.
I'm sure I'm not going to be able to afford to live here once it's done.
I probably couldn't afford to live here now.
No, definitely not. No. Not in Portland. Okay, so this was a mental hospital. It was an asylum and an educational center. It was called the Dammasch State Hospital, and it was named for Dr. Ferdinand H. Dammasch.
He's an asshole.
He is a total asshole.
I remember.
I'll tell you why. The place opened in 1961 and closed in 1995. After it closed, it was a proposed site for a women's prison, even though it's less than a mile from residential areas, so people got really pissed off about that, and they ended up having second thoughts. When this was a state hospital, there were a lot of deaths. Basically, a lot of malpractice happened in that state hospital, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Ferdinand.
He's up to no good. Ferdinand, are you here?
Oh, fur.
Let us know you're here. So I found a report, like an official report by the Oregon Advocacy Center that went through 5 deaths in detail that all happened in 1993, 2 years before the Dammasch State Hospital closed down. But you know, a lot of fucked up shit happened before that. This place was open for like 30 years, but this all happened in 1 year. So I'm going to tell you the story of 5 inmates, or not inmates, sorry, they're patients. But they're kind of inmates in an asylum.
Yeah.
But they all died, and in a really sad, terrible way. So we're going to talk about it. Are you excited?
I am excited.
Me too. Okay.
Let's talk about other people's misfortune.
So the way that these patients are named, it's just their initials, just to, HIPAA, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is named PG, not parental guidance.
It's PG-13.
This whole show is at least PG-13, but this guy's just PG. He was a 32-year-old male patient. His official cause of death was listed as clinical history of schizophrenia with agitation and positional asphyxia during restraint.
He sounds super fun.
Well, his schizophrenia and agitation have nothing to do with his death. That end part is really what did him in. It was the asphyxia during restraint. So just a little backstory on PG. PG was admitted on police hold because he was threatening his mother, he was barking like a dog, and apparently hallucinating. He became hostile at one point when he was in the hospital, and they asked him to just remove his shoes. He had asked to go into the isolation room to just cool off, and they were like, all right, well, we're taking you in here, you need to take your shoes off. And he didn't want to take his shoes off, and so they restrained him with a towel over his mouth for several minutes. After a nurse went to take the towel out of PG's mouth, his teeth had been clenching the towel so hard that there was blood on the towel. And then the safety officer that was holding the towel over PG's mouth, when he left the room, he stopped at a nurse that was like by a front desk or something. And he was just like, he mentioned that the patient's color didn't look so good, were his words. When a doctor turned and looked back in the room, his face was black. So he was dead. He was asphyxiated during restraint. That's really his only cause of death. Mention of schizophrenia and agitation was not even necessary. So basically, PG died on October 8th, 1993, because he would not take his shoes off at 32 years old.
You always take your shoes off.
You got to take off your shoes. Sometimes you need to take your shoes off. It's disrespectful.
Mm-hmm. You might die.
You might die of natural causes during restraint.
Yeah, if I am visiting someone's home and there's like shoes by the door. I take that cue. I'm like, I don't want to get murdered.
I don't want to, right. These get sadder as they go, so I hope you're buckled up.
Oh, good,
Get comfortable on the plywood.
That one was a delight.
Yeah. So that's our first victim. Oh, definitely not the first. These all happened in 93. But the place was open since 61, and this is how they ran it, so, you know. Our second victim was J.W. He died on August 29th of 1993. He was 52 years old. His official cause of death was listed as asphyxiation due to impacted food in airway. So backstory on J.W. He had been admitted between 5 and 9 times to the Dammasch State Hospital.
Between 5 and 9, they don't keep track of that.
I don't. They were just like ballparking it.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big span too, to be admitted. I guess. Yeah. I'm not sure where that figure came from, but that's what it said. So one of his prior admissions lasted 13 years, which kind of stood out to me. So he's probably spent most of his life in the Dammasch State Hospital. He had been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type. He also had developed tardive dyskinesia, which is characterized by a repetitive, involuntary movement. So like grimacing and blinking and involuntary, as well as drug-induced Parkinsonism, which is tremors, muscular weakness, and a peculiar walk or gait. And all of those come from taking too many psychiatric drugs. So that's like just a side effect.
JW partied.
Horrible. Yeah, well, no, he was prescribed a shitload of psychiatric drugs.
I like to think that they are partying.
I mean, yeah.
They give you your party pills and your party jacket. And
be subdued.
Take your shoes off because like you'll slide around on the dance floor better in your socks.
That's exactly how the place was run. Everyone loved it. It was great. He was treated with electroconvulsive therapy, and he received a total of 429 shock treatments during his stay or stays.
See, they have the 429 as an exact number, but they can't count to 7.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. It must. Let's say 7. Between 5 and 9.
Use it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, because it seems like that would be a much easier number to get than how many shock treatments he got. And then he was, of course, also medicated with a variety of psychiatric drugs with severe side effects. So none of this worked to his advantage. In September of 92. So almost a year before he died, JW was admitted to OHSU for pneumonia and also lithium toxicity. So he had been prescribed lithium, but when he got pneumonia, he was eating and drinking a lot less, so the lithium became a lot more toxic to his system. So he also had lithium toxicity. 2 months later, he was discharged from OHSU. OHSU, for anyone who doesn't know, is a really popular hospital in Oregon. It's one of the Kaiser and OHSU are probably the biggest ones. It's a teaching hospital.
Yeah, that's what the U is for.
Yes, astute. You go to college?
I did, yeah.
You did? What was your major?
There was a U in that, environmental science.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good deal. Sorry, back to JW. Okay.
We just had to talk about my degree that I don't use for a second.
I didn't know how you knew about the U. What, they teach that in college?
All right, get back to the scary stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, back to the
It's not a roast.
Terrible. So 2 months later, he's discharged from the hospital. He's better. He was put in a public house where he became shaky and delusional, and he thought he was George Bush. I assume senior. It was 92. So, I mean, I guess it could have been worse. And at that point, he got readmitted to the Dammasch State Hospital. His condition continued to worsen, and he was constantly naked. He often would be loudly singing hymns or preaching to an unseen crowd. At one point, he wore his shirt as pants. He often had accidents. He was unable to be understood when talking, and a big one is he had difficulty swallowing. So if you remember his cause of death was asphyxiation due to impacted food and airway. So they started noticing this 2 months after he left OHSU. So this is a little less than a year before he died. They noticed that he was having difficulty swallowing. So this is a huge fault on their part. On August 29th, 1993, he was put in timeout for being intrusive and harassing another patient, where he was given breakfast of pancakes in his room and later was found dead. What's interesting about his case, though, is that in his chart, it says, and I'm quoting from the actual chart, it says, patient had been singing hymns while in timeout on his bed, took meds, ate 100% of breakfast, had been up to nurse's office as usual after that. It already sounds weird to say 100% of breakfast. Like, why would you say that? Like he ate all of his breakfast? But the truth is, JW choked on his pancakes. That's how he died. And the medical examiner found uneaten pancakes on a plate in his room.
What?
So it's like...
Well, this was probably the same person who couldn't count the number between 5 and 9.
Yeah, he was just like it's 100%. I'm ballparking.
Numbers
close to 100.
Numbers just aren't really my thing.
No, he doesn't know.
I know what the U is for. I'm a letters guy. I'm a letters guy.
Yeah, he knew the U, but he couldn't tell you the year he graduated or anything like that. But yeah, it said 100%, and then it also went further to say, he had been up to the nurse's office as usual after that, which is, it's like totally suspicious that they put it there in the first place. But yeah, the medical examiner found uneaten pancakes and that his cause of death was asphyxiation on the pancake. Ironically, on the very same day, our third patient, LL, died at 66 years old, and her official cause of death was listed as asphyxia due to aspiration of a breakfast pancake. So I'm like, what the fuck were in the pancakes on that day, you know? The thing is that I'll tell you her story, but for JW, he had difficulty swallowing for almost a year before he died. So it's a separate incident. It's just a crazy coincidence that they both choked on pancakes on the same day. That was a rough morning in the hospital.
Who did it first? Who's copying who?
Let's see. It doesn't really say any times. So you know what? I think it was just a chaotic morning.
It was between 5 and 9.
Between 5 and 9 a.m. Yeah, that would make sense. So LL, our third patient, the 66-year-old woman, she had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and another one of her diagnoses was passive-aggressive personality, which since I've moved to the Pacific Northwest, I kind of was like, doesn't that just mean like she just fits right in? Like, I don't know if do you get that impression moving here from North Carolina that people here are a lot more passive aggressive?
No, I don't.
Oh, are they more passive aggressive back home?
No, okay. It seems the same.
Oh, okay, so they're equally as passive aggressive.
People are passive aggressive everywhere.
Yeah, not in Detroit.
Because it is the most fun thing to be.
Yeah. I'm not that way. I try to be blunt because I think it's a cultural thing. I think it's a difference. And the funny thing is that, like, when I first moved here, I didn't understand passive aggression. Like, people would say things to me like, I guess that's fine. I'd be like, perfect. Totally, like, over my head. Like, I just don't get it. And now I'm kind of starting to pick up on it after 7 years. But I had to make a note of that. I thought that was a funny diagnosis because I was like, passive aggressive in the Pacific Northwest? She must have been pretty damn sarcastic.
She's somebody's roommate.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Anyway, so LL would get extremely agitated, demanding a cigarette regularly. On the day that she died, she demanded a cigarette, but was told she has to finish her breakfast first. So LL looks at the staff member that's monitoring her and said that she was finished, but that staff person disagreed.
They were like, that's not 100% of your breakfast.
They're like, I don't think, They're like, listen,
numbers
JW finished 100% of his breakfast. I think that it's time for LL to step up to the plate. If JW can do it, and that guy can't even fucking swallow. If he can do it, you can do it. So in response, I love LL. I think she's my favorite patient out of all these. She grabbed the pancake in front of the staff person and shoved the entire thing in her mouth and took off for the smoking room. But then she stopped because she began to choke on that pancake and fell, and another patient had to catch her. And they told a different staff person to dial code 99 for medical help. But that staff person also had difficulties with numbers and pressed 33 instead.
Oh.
What is the deal with the numbers? That code is for controlling a combative patient. This delayed medical attention for 4 to 5 minutes, and she was not saved in time and died of asphyxiation. The second patient that morning to die choking on the breakfast pancakes.
Oh man, LL. That's why you're supposed to cut your pancakes.
No, but you gotta love her determination. And she was like, I'm done. They're like, no, you're not. And she's like, fuck you, I'm smoking. And then she died doing what she loved.
Yeah.
Rebelling against the system.
I don't smoke cigarettes and I do eat pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really relate to LL very much.
You don't ever eat like a full pancake at once aggressively?
No.
Not yet.
I make my pancake last, because what is there after that?
No, nothing. Only sadness.
Only sadness when all the pancakes are gone.
Sadness follows the... So anyway, I thought that was a crazy coincidence because, like, in both of the situations, it's not like, oh, the pancakes were poisoned. I mean, really, maybe, but it's just a crazy coincidence, you know? It's like this guy can't swallow, and this chick just wants a fucking cigarette, like, at the end of the day, and they die.
She just wanted to inhale something.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. And she inhaled a whole fucking pancake because she's LL. She doesn't... Anyway, number 4 on our list is DC. These last two are so sad, so like brace yourself. DC died on June 25th of 1993 at the age of 32. His official cause of death is listed as acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, AIDS. DC was generally pleasant and cooperative in the ward. People liked him. He suffered complications of HIV and seizures. But he was actually homeless, and he only intended to stay at the Dammasch State Hospital for 1 to 2 months, just as placement because he was homeless and thought he needed a little extra care with his medical conditions. Later, he was moved to long-term care, the long-term care ward, which he actually was appreciative of because he wanted the extra help and he needed a place to stay. One note mentioned at that time that he became easily agitated, but he also easily calmed down with verbal interventions and timeouts. Over time, this escalated. He would become angry, agitated, delusional, and even was eventually reported to be growling, slamming doors, pacing, threatening, and making bizarre statements. He was often seduced.
I was in it. I wasn't for it.
You're like, really?
Yeah, who's seducing DC? Is it another patient? Is it the guy who can't count? Is it?
You're like, this just got interesting. Sorry, I read my notes wrong. He was often secluded and restrained.
How would you like to do a position that is between 65 and 90?
Seduced and restrained would have totally worked too. Perfect. No, he was secluded and restrained. And what I think is really kind of sad about this patient is that
he didn't get seduced.
He didn't get seduced.
That's really
like
sad.
It seems like it would have been the right thing to do. Is that he had HIV and he was homeless and he was looking for a place to go, and it seemed like he was really appreciative and everyone really liked him there. And he went to the long-term care ward and really appreciated being there. And like the notes that they got, I mean, this is from the Oregon Advocacy Center, but they're taking from the notes actually from the doctors and from, you know, what nurses and doctors wrote. So that's coming from, there's a bias there. So when they say that he suddenly became agitated and delusional, you have to wonder, like, why?
Oh, yeah.
Why is that happening? That this guy who totally was just appreciative of a place to stay suddenly is growling and slamming doors and he's not being seduced enough. Like, there's all kinds of things going wrong. But what's super shitty is that on the day he died, DC had been complaining of a tightness in his chest. He was hyperventilating and panicking, and he reportedly became confused, paranoid, and was hallucinating and nonsensical. Suddenly his skin turned blue, He had shallow breathing, and he collapsed where he was not resuscitated. Ultimately, he was hemorrhaging internally because they found blood in his mucous membranes as well as in his vomit. Yeah.
I really hate that word.
Vomit?
Membrane.
Membrane is the one that got you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why?
Okay, I think the first time I learned that word, I was looking at a deer carcass, and it, like, smelled real bad, and I just wasn't into it. But I did play with its leg. Mm-hmm. That tarp's really, like, being ghosty right now.
Are you scared?
There's a lot going on. Yeah. I'm terrified. You said membrane.
And it is kind of like...
There is a tarp in the wind.
It is very, like, cartoony ghosty.
I know.
It totally is. Don't worry, it's probably just DC. He's like, this one's mine.
All right, DC, what happens to you next?
So, I mean, that's how he died. There was that internal bleeding, and it seems like it must have been a circulation issue because his skin turned blue and he had that tightness of his chest. The doctor determined his death was from a sudden circulatory failure due to his HIV status. And also, strangely, his death was not reported for 4.5 hours.
They were busy.
It's because, this is speculation, but I think it's because he had fucking AIDS and people were judging him. And so they decided he didn't deserve to have the type of care that maybe other people deserve to have, which is fucked up. The other thing that was really messed up is his body was removed before the medical examiner could even see it. So they removed the body, sent it out to be cremated or buried or whatever. And the medical examiner was not able to conduct an examination because it wasn't reported for 4.5 hours.
They sent the body out immediately but didn't report it immediately? Mm-hmm. I feel like reporting is the easier thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So his abrupt deterioration, like I said, is not typical in the course of an AIDS-related death. The fact that everything happened so quickly. And like I said as well, it's possible that his HIV status did tragically impact the quality of care that he received. That one really bums me out. This one also bums me out. So this is our last death that we're going to talk about. Her name is KM. She died...
Call her Kim.
Okay, maybe her name is Kim.
Her name's Kim.
Okay, so Kim. Yeah, KM. I like it. It's just like one more letter. Kim died on September 19th of 1993 at the age of 38. This is super creepy. She lived with her aunt because...
Oh no, me too.
Oh yeah, you too. I forgot about that. She lived with her aunt because she didn't actually get along with her mother, unfortunately.
Oh, not me. My mom's great.
You're like,
love you, Mom.
Love you, Lydia's mom. I don't know.
She's the best.
Yeah, she sounds great. So Kim lived with her aunt because she didn't get along with her mother. She attended special education classes. She had some impairments before dropping out of school at the age of 16. So she had cognitive difficulties. They're not specified what they are, but you can just use your imagination. In late May of 1993, KM's aunt, who she lived with, actually died in the house. And Kim did not actually know how to use the phone. And even if she did, she had nobody to contact. So she stayed in the house with the body.
Ooh.
And I mean, she's incapable of taking care of herself, so she had to figure out for the next few days with her decaying aunt in her home how to live. She can't use the phone.
Damn,
That's
Kim.
the level of, yeah.
I'm invested in this one. What's Kim do?
Yeah, this is a tough one. So eventually the neighbors must have realized something was up. I don't know if they smelled something or if they maybe noticed there wasn't any traffic coming in and out of the house or what they did. But they ended up calling the police, and the police arrived to find the decaying body of Kim's aunt. And Kim was obviously distraught. And they admitted her to the Dammasch State Hospital basically as a placement because they didn't really know where to put her. And they did testing in the hospital which showed that she had an IQ of 54, which is well below the average range.
What's unfortunate is...
She's still a teenager when...
Oh, no, she was 38.
When she's admitted?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if she was there for a while.
But cognitively, she was probably like a child. Like, she doesn't know how to use a phone. She doesn't know how to take care of herself. But she did not have a history of mental illness. And she started complaining that her body hurt all over. And they started to notice that her skin began to appear blue for days, not just a couple hours, like for days before she died. Which also indicated a possible circulation issue, which seems like it's kind of a pattern, you know?
It was a 90s trend.
Yeah, it was a trend specifically in 93. So she had been placed on Haldol, which is meant to treat psychiatric disorders that she did not appear to suffer from. And this is also a drug that has to be used with great caution in a person who has cardiovascular problems. Which it turned out she did, and they were not aware of. The day that Kim died, she was seen alive it was September 19th, 1993, at 2:45 p.m. She was laying in her bed in her cubicle. And remember, we're right here. Like, it was right here. Like, her cubicle could have been in
this is basically
room.
A cubicle.
Yeah. So she was laying in her bed. And a staff person had asked if she wanted to come out into the day room and, you know, like socialize or play or do something. And it says that she indicated that she didn't want to, so maybe she just shook her head. 25 minutes after that, KM was found laying in her bed by a staff person with her eyes and mouth partially open. She did not have a pulse, and she was not breathing, and she was pronounced dead 15 minutes later. Her official cause of death was listed as coronary arterial sclerosis, which is when the walls of the arteries become thickened and hardened. And that's something that typically occurs in old age, and she was only 38. So it's probably from a side effect of the Haldol, which she actually did not need to be on in the first place. Those are our 5 patients that we're going to talk about, and all of those patients died in 1993. So, like, just to bring it back, this place was open, I think it was from 61 to 95. So it was 61 to 95. So it was over 30 years that this place was open, and all of these cases happened in 1993. That must have just been the year that they looked into. But there has to have been a pattern. Like, it doesn't just suddenly get this bad, where 2 patients die choking on pancakes and there's a shitload of circulatory problems.
In one day.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's a lot of weird stuff happened. So now we're going to get into the ghosts that remain in this place.
Oh boy.
Are you
Ghost
ready?
Kim?
Well, what's interesting to me is that it seems like a lot of the ghosts that remain here, you would think would be like pissed off patients, right? Yeah. But it seems like a lot of them are the employees of the state hospital. And that surprised me at first. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought the idea of someone haunting a place, in my mind, makes me think that they are not at peace. I would like to think that KM and JW and DC and all the people we just talked about, that they are at peace somewhere, you know? But that the people that were directly involved in some of these cases maybe aren't. And maybe that's why their spirits remain here.
Okay.
That's like the explanation that I've come up with.
Right. So you can be a ghost because you're angry. You can be a ghost because you're like guilty.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know the rules.
Just, you know, the ghost. When you saw yours, you didn't talk to him.
Oh, no. I haven't told my ghost story on the podcast yet. I don't know if I ever will.
This is mine.
This
tarp.
Right now. So
tarps are just supposed to be still.
Like, it's not windy at all. Why is it moving? Who's that? Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Sorry, that's not nice. So I'm going to do a real quick rundown of my sources before I go into the ghosts that have been found here. I mentioned that I got all of these stories from the Oregon Advocacy Center. I got some information from Wikipedia. I got some from BuzzFeed, some from Reddit, very studious.
You won't believe ghost number 10.
Exactly. And I got some stuff from the Portland Tribute. So that's where my research kind of came from for this. So obviously they're rebuilding here. This whole place was demolished and they've like rebuilt. But before the building was demolished, there were reports of ghostly footsteps being heard and keys jingling. And there would be buzzing over intercoms that were not obviously they weren't supposed to be working. But intercoms would buzz and keys would jingle, which I mean, those are employees. Those aren't going to be inmates. They're not inmates. They're patients. But it seems like they're inmates, especially the AIDS guy. You know, it seems like he got agitated. He probably should have been able to be like, I want to go. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
You know? Or the guy who didn't want to take his shoes off.
But they were like, we just like you too much. You can't go.
They were like,
and that's
we want
what
to
really
kill you. That's why you have to stay. And apparently, too, I mean, this is from Reddit, so I'm not really sure, you know, how reliable this is. But apparently, when they were shut down, the user's name is Weather Resize. I don't know if that's important, but I'm going to mention it anyway. But apparently, when they were shut down, they just let all of the patients out, like just let them all free, which is probably a bummer because they probably all ended up homeless and a lot of them probably needed to actually be on medication, and that's a huge problem obviously in the homeless population still. But while they were digging up this land that we are sitting on, they found the remains of patients that were secretly buried in unmarked graves. And they were thought to be test subjects with no family that they just kind of disposed of. They tested on them and threw them away. Before this place was torn down, they also found blood and writing on the walls, and beds and carts were just left behind. So this Reddit user who posted about that, he actually went through with his buddies and saw it with his eyes. So they were like beds and carts, and he said that it was like everyone just up and vanished, like it was just left and abandoned. I wish it still looked like that. You probably don't. But
yeah, that'd be cool.
I mean, this tarp is enough.
I kind of want to go sit closer to it.
Okay, you want to? Actually, that looks more comfortable over
Yeah,
there.
it does.
You're like, that's the main thing.
We didn't sit there because...
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were asleep. Fucking my bad.
They would have said something
that's
by
funny,
now.
like I totally thought that was someone sleeping when we first came in here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This place now is called the Villa Bois. It's just called the Villa Bois. It's like the village. There's like a community center. It's very bougie. But what's funny to me is like they wanted to dispel these rumors that this place is haunted because they want people to pay a shitload to live here, right? I don't know if it's a shitload actually at all. I have no idea. But they wanted to just dispel the rumors about the hauntings. So they hired a psychic to check the place out. And in order to sell the place, they said, well, the psychic did not find any bad spirits, but they did connect with an ex-custodial employee, spirit, who said he, quote, liked the place. So even the spirits that remained gave a good review.
This ghost is just gonna clean up after you.
It's gonna clean, and he likes the place.
That's who you want haunting. Yeah.
Yeah, and he gives a good review. You should move in. The custodian likes it.
He says it's a decent enough spot.
It's decent. Yeah. Do you want to actually go through some of these other rooms and see what's creepy shit?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I kind of want to check it out. I mean, this tarp was scary, but yeah. I don't think we're supposed to be here, but no one's gonna know. What are those?
I know. I feel naughty.
Yeah, this is naughty.
I wonder if there is anyone sleeping in one of these.
There probably is. This is not.
Probably right next door to where we were.
Yeah.
And they were like, those damn podcasters.
They're like, always, every time. I kind of want to go up.
Every night.
Yeah, this is scary.
Oh, I didn't know there. I didn't actually realize that the roofs were done. Ugh.
Oh, is it not done?
No, that it was. I remember seeing, oh, that one isn't. So I was right.
I love the sound of the frogs.
Me too.
Oh, are you not coming up here?
I'm on...
Is that you? Where are you?
Here, I'll come to you. I just went up a different set of stairs.
I can't. Oh, you're on this side.
Yeah.
Dude, that scared the shit out of me.
Yay.
Because honestly, my first reaction was like, we're not supposed to be here. Someone's being like, hey, what are you doing here?
Yes.
I was like, either...
Scaring happened. Ghost nails.
I was like, either that's someone who's working on this development and they're mad, that's a homeless person and they're pissed, or it's a ghost and it's Cam and she's not happy.
She's like, my name's not Kim. Don't call me that.
It was Kathy, you sons of bitches.
This is really cool.
This is really cool. And to be honest, like, I didn't realize they were building more stuff, so I thought it was just going to be like these, like we were just going to be walking through a residential neighborhood.
Yeah. Being on a construction site or walking through lots of different rooms. Oh, I want to go up
And it's
these
very
stairs.
dark. It's 10 p.m.
So
We are laughing in
we
the dark.
can't actually stand up here.
No.
Duck under this board.
You're much smaller than me. You're able to get through there. I don't know if I can.
All right, up here the roof is not finished.
What am I missing?
So if I stood on here, it would collapse.
Perfect. Do it. No, don't do it. Or let me move before you
So
do.
it's just an unfinished roof. There's a bunch of plywood up here. Just a lot of wood. Just a lot of wood.
A lot of wood.
Getting some raindrops falling.
On your head?
Yeah.
How many ghosts are up there?
12, and they look very angry.
No, that's my unlucky number.
That's a movie, right? 12 Angry Ghosts. Did I get it right? Did I make that movie reference?
You know what? That sounds right, but I don't think I've ever seen it. I can't believe I haven't, though, because I'm not kidding. 12 is my unlucky number. I gotta see that movie. Oh my God, there's 12 nails here. Kidding, there's significantly
Looks more
that.
than 12.
I don't have an environmental science degree, so I'm not very good at numbers.
I got pretty good at counting to 12.
Whoa!
You just gotta
Double
remember,
digits.
you go between 5 and 9, and then you keep going,
Just continue.
but not all the way to 25 to 29.
No.
So which stairs did we go up originally? Did you go up these?
There were ghost stairs. You're right, we're kind of lost.
Hope you enjoyed your tour through what was once the Dammasch, whatever, State Hospital. Be sure to check out Lydia Manning on Twitter at LYDJAMANNING. It's like Lydia Manning except a J for the I. Make sure to also take a look at her website, LydiaManningComedy.com. Also keep an eye out for Lydia's debut album, Judgmental Goldfish, which will be released soon on iTunes and Spotify. Special thanks for this episode to Sara Schneider, my manager, Jonathan Cooper, my graphic designer, Chris Finster, my producer, Dan Stutzman for being you and all that you do, Nick Wilson and everyone at Bridge City Sessions, Lydia Manning, my guest, all my friends who let me talk nonstop about the show and give endless support and helpful feedback, especially Anna Evans, Emily Jukowski, Josie Goldberg, and Dave Ellerby. And thanks to all of you for listening. The social media is up. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Lit Dark Podcast. We're working on our website too, litdarkpodcast.com, so check it out. If you have a great ghost story, we want to hear from you. Email us at litdarkpodcast, LITDARK podcast @gmail.com. We might want to put you on the show. Thanks for listening.